Welcome to this lecture on stolen and scraped data, which includes an overview of ethical concerns. Occasionally, researchers use data obtained by illicit means, such as exploiting of vulnerability or unauthorized access. These can be vulnerable sources of ground truth data, however their use can be controversial. Data obtained from malware might include data obtained through an illicit botnet or the analysis of leaked malware source code. Password dumps are lists of passwords obtained illegally. Researchers use these to understand users' password behaviours. More generally, leaked databases contain messages or logs of activity. In relation to cybercrime, researchers have analysed the backends of DDoS for hire services and hacked and leaked underground forums. Financial data leaks include commercially sensitive information. High-profile leaks include the Panama Papers data breach, which provided insights into tax evasion and other criminal enterprises. Finally, leaks of classified material provide insights into government activities. High-profile leaks include Chelsea Manning's leak of 700,000 documents and diplomatic cables from the USA's government systems to WikiLeaks in 2010. In 2013, Edward Snowden leaked large amounts of NSA and GCHQ data to journalists. Data scraping is typically undertaken on crypto markets and underground forums. Before researchers start scraping their own data, it is worthwhile seeing if there are existing collections already available. Some sources include the Darknet Market Archives, which contains scrapes from 89 crypto markets and more than 37 forums, totaling 1.6 terabytes of data. The data is now quite dated, covering 2011 to 2015, with partial scrapes from 2017, and therefore not representative of the current cybercrime landscape. Still, these datasets serve as a good benchmarks and are still being used in cybercrime research. AZ Secure is a repository providing selected hacker community content. It contains various datasets publicly available for researchers, obtained by scraping forums, marketplaces, IRCs, and carding shops. It contains data from 51 forums, totaling more than 32 million posts in 12 markets, totaling 249,000 listings. It spans more than a decade, with the latest dataset being from 2019. The CrimeBB dataset of cybercrime forums is available to academic researchers under a legal agreement with the Cambridge Cybercrime Centre. It contains data from over 100 million posts scraped from 34 forums dating back more than 20 years, and is kept updated through regular incremental crawling. Until recently, it was only provided as SQL binary dumps, which presented technical challenges for non-technical researchers. To address these challenges, a search interface was developed for interdisciplinary researchers. In addition, some researchers also provide the datasets used for their studies to allow for reproducibility and to foster new research. If researchers are undertaking their own collection, there are a number of steps involved. The first step involves investigating and selecting the communities for the research, namely the sites to be crawled. This includes analysing the access requirements and studying the terms of service. The researcher may need to consult their research ethics board for legal and ethical advice and may require ethical approval. The next step is gaining initial access. The researcher might need to register accounts, and they should conduct preliminary investigations or observations, including manual navigation and content inspection. Collecting and storing a small sample subset to design and test the crawler offline can be useful. They should then define the scope, such as collecting a single snapshot or periodic revisits, classifying the content that needs to be extracted, selecting those areas of high interest or priority. Crawler design and implementation involves defining the database, scheduling incremental crawling if needed, designing custom scrapers, managing accessibility, such as using session cookies, implementing anti-crawling bypass techniques, and so on. Crawler development involves configuring the infrastructure, including deploying the database, installing necessary software, and preparing for connections through VPNs, proxies or Tor circuits. In the production step, the researcher should track logs for status monitoring, maintenance and error management. If needed, this will include conducting incremental crawling, redesigning scrapers for site updates, adding further anti-crawling bypass methods, etc. Often, research ethics requires balancing the benefits of the research against the potential risks and harms. Researchers should be explicit about what benefits their research will bring. Safeguards can help minimise the likelihood of harms being realised. This can include secure storage and controlled sharing to prevent the research data causing harm by malicious parties, and not attempting to de-anonymise users and to maintain their privacy. It is important to realise what potential harms can occur. Researchers who commit offences or pay others to do so put themselves at risk of prosecution. Paying offenders also raises ethical concerns. Research findings could also be potentially abused to cause additional harm, such as designing evasive malware. De-anonymising individuals puts them at risk of further harm. Sensitive data can also cause further harms, such as abusing leaked credentials. Researchers are at risk of being infected with malware, being exposed to distressing content, may face legal risks if they inadvertently come into the possession of child exploitation material, or may face legal action if breaking the terms of service when scraping websites. Finally, behavioural change resulting from the research can have negative consequences. The research community is yet to come to a consensus about the need for ethical review of research involving stolen and scraped data. Some research ethics boards require review, while others consider data research to be exempt. Often it is not possible to obtain informed consent from those being studied. The Menlo report contains provisions for use when obtaining informed consent is impractical, advising that researchers should seek a waiver of informed consent from their research ethics board. The British Society of Criminology considers this as justified if the data are collected from publicly available communities and researches on collective behaviour without identifying individuals.